Yes, hello, my beautiful friends. It is an amazing day. Welcome back. I hope you are having a rockin' start to your week and your weekend was incredible. We've got some serious business to attend to. Of course, we're excited you're here. We're going to jump into the DNC dumpster fire that is currently taking place in Chicago. And there is a bunch of ruckus out there, all afoot, all across the streets outside the DNC. We're going to talk about it. Joe Biden was also there. And he's kind of doing the Joe Biden thing, kind of staring through the walls, staring through your soul, because he's not really existing. And we're going to go through a bunch of reaction to the DNC. There's protesters there. There are pro-Palestinian side is there. Pro-Israel side is there. Everybody in between. And it's getting to be a little bit spicy out there. It's not even started yet, really. So we got day one. Joe Biden will be speaking tonight. Then they're going to throw him in the dumpster. They're like, Joe who? They're warming up, right? Everybody's there, getting hammered tonight. Nobody's paying attention to Joe, which is why they'll get him in, get him out, and throw him by the wayside. But we're going to get into all of that. Before we do, we've got other business to attend to today because we're going to poke around and see what's happening in New York with Judge Merchan, Juan the Con Merchan, who has a big decision in front of him. What is he going to do with Trump's sentencing, which is coming up mid-September, just about a month from today? He's scheduled to be sentenced. And the question is, will that happen? And if Trump is sentenced, will they put him in prison? Will they try to put him in prison? Will they do a term of incarceration, as we predicted, if the sentencing goes forward? Or will they just do everything that they can to postpone the sentencing because they really have to? They wrecked the case. They allowed a bunch of immune material and immune evidence into the trial. And so the Supreme Court says you can't do that. So now we're going to see what the government prosecutors are saying in response to Trump's defense. Trump's defense says you have to continue this. Okay, there's no way we can do our sentencing in the middle of September. We got to go back down, have evidentiary hearings on this. And then when you deny our immunity, we'll appeal that, obviously. And the appeal of anything that is related to immunity means that everything stops. And so the prosecutors have responded and they are caving, man. They're going to cave without caving. I'm going to show you how they do this by using that prosecutorial language like, we're totally right, totally amazing, and everything we say is true, but we're just not going to oppose Trump's request because of other reasons. So we'll read through it. But they're caving. They know this case is dead in the water. They screwed up big time. They tried to hurry. They were just off by a couple weeks, honestly. And so we're going to go through that. I got the opinion pulled up from Judge Merchan, and we'll see what is inside of that. Then we're going to turn our attention to this new impeachment document that just dropped from the House GOP. The Judiciary Committee came out with a monster report. It's over 200 pages. We're not going to read the whole thing, but we will hit the highlights of it. There was an executive summary inside. There's an introduction. We'll see what some of the table of contents looks like and what's inside, because it's a massive dossier, treasure trove on the criminality of Biden and really everybody else who was around him. Okay, let's not pretend like it was just Joe who's the bad person here. There was an entire cabal of people who were propping up this entire facade for the last 3.5 years. And the person who was allegedly in the room with Joe Biden the most in all the big decisions like Afghanistan and elsewhere was Kamala Harris. And so we'll go through that report and see what's inside before we turn our attention over to the DNC. And as you can see right now, there's a little bit of ruckus over there. The footage here looks like the cops are lining up. Protesters are breaching the DNC fence. Oh, no. So that's not good. Are they going to insurrect the building? Wonder if the FBI is suiting up right now. So we're going to see what happens. Obviously, Joe Biden is set to speak tonight, so they better get a hold on this thing sooner rather than later. But we'll pay close attention to it and, of course, come back and check in once it percolates a little bit. It looks like it's warming up. So we'll talk about it. We encourage peaceful protests and support all peaceful protesters, but this is a good time for people to be heard because they were not heard during the Democratic primary process, as we know. Not good. So let's talk about it. Now, we're going to take our attention over to what's cooking in New York first because there is a big update here. So let's take a look at it. Alvin Bragg and government prosecutors look like they're caving on the Trump sentencing. This is a letter that comes from Alvin Bragg's office. Of course, he's prosecuting the case against Trump out of New York. The judge there is Honorable Judge Juan Merchan. And this got sent to his office. So from Bragg, not really Bragg, we know who actually is doing the heavy lifting there, is not Alvin Bragg, it's this guy, Matthew Colangelo. Matthew Colangelo, Biden's number 3 at the DOJ before he resigned and went over here to prosecute Trump, because he was the guy who was basically setting up Trump prosecution franchises all around the country. Went over to Tisch, worked with him, her, worked with Bragg, different office, same state, probably worked with many other prosecutors in speculation only in the Georgia case and in Florida, but didn't actually go and physically, handle those cases, but was the 3rd at the DOJ. You know who did handle those cases? Jack Smith, Jay Bratt, the rest of them, Molly Gaston. You think they didn't know each other? Come on. All right, so Matthew Colangelo is the person who is drafting this, and there is a big just backpedal on this, and it's outstanding to see. It looks like the sentencing is not going to happen, but let's see what the judge does with it. He could always dig in. So here is from the prosecutor to the judge. It says, Your Honor, this letter addresses Trump's prior letter that we read here that requests an adjournment of the sentencing date, which is coming up mid-September. So a postponement, a continuance, or a total adjournment, right? Get rid of it. We don't need it because we have to have another evidentiary hearing to discuss the immunity issues. The people defer to the court. On the appropriate post-trial schedule that allows for adequate time to adjudicate Trump's motion while also pronouncing sentence, quote, without unreasonable delay. Defer to the court. That probably hurt for them to have to type that. Because what you want to do is oppose. The people oppose Trump's motion. He's wrong, clearly. Sentencing should happen on this day. Remember, if they have a correct legal conclusion here, and they're right on the right side of immunity, they should oppose this with every single fiber of their being. Not defer to the court. This is democracy, baby. They say that Trump insurrected, fraudulently stole the 2016 election by allegedly covering up. Well, they found him guilty of it, the 34 charges in New York from those jurors. And now they're going to backpedal on this and say that we're just going to defer to you after we go through all of that. No delay. It's so critical and important that this country gets a conclusion on this case before the election. Remember, they kept lecturing us every day. Now they're going to defer to the court. Pathetic. And they'll come out and they'll say, well, Trump is delaying this. Trump is postponing this. No, you guys could oppose it. It's your right now to oppose it. And if you were right, you would do that. But they're wrong. They know they're wrong. But they note the following points with this court. They say Trump's letter indicates, for the first time, his intent to seek interlocutory state or federal appellate review before he is sentenced of any adverse ruling. And it's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Well, what did you think was going to happen? That he would just lose and not appeal it? Well, this is the first time we heard that Trump could appeal this. We had no idea. Have you ever prosecuted a case before? What? Do you know what an appellate court is? Because that's what happens when people lose, especially on an immunity issue. And by the way, you should have had notice about this because they did the exact same thing in the January 6th case. We had no idea that this was going to be appealed. He just told us. Now, it's correct, they say, that the denial of immunity from prosecution is immediately appealable, like we saw with Judge Chutkan's case. So they agree Trump was right again on that one. But here, in contrast to Trump's case in Washington with Judge Chutkan, the J6 case, the question of Trump's immunity from prosecution is not presented. Okay, it's been presented this entire case. It was presented before the trial started, and it was presented multiple times in the middle of the trial. The judge even said, stop raising that objection. You don't need to raise it every time. The only question now before the court is whether a small subset of the trial evidence was improperly admitted in light of a brand new evidentiary rule that derives from official acts immunity. So this is the prosecutor right here throwing a temper tantrum. We had no idea. This just came out of nowhere. And so whining. And you say, well, hey, morons. You could have avoided all of this, right? The actual question, sorry, Mom. The whole question that was brought before this court was about immunity. And just like what was happening in the January 6th case, they said, pause the case so that if there was going to be a brand new rule, you would have known about it a long time ago. And you could have done something about it, right? So don't act like, hey, we're just springing this on you in the last minute. We literally said, can you please stop? So we don't spring anything on you at the last minute. Like, we warned you this was going to happen. Just pause it, because the last thing we want is to have to come and do all this over again. Supreme Court comes down, says you guys are wrong, you did something bad, and we have to do it again. Now you're saying, I can't believe this happened to us. You did it. And if so now they're saying it's only right now. Now it's not about whether Trump is immune at all. So now they're saying, let's just carve out his tiny little small subset. So take a Kamala Venn diagram out, right? Some of this evidence that came into court during this trial was absolutely official conduct. They talked about two key witnesses, Madeleine Westerhout, Oval Office coordinator, talked about her role and her job as the Oval Office coordinator, pretty official. We also saw Hope Hicks, White House comms director, also official business. They brought all of that in because their case was crap. So all of that needs to be precluded, but they're saying, no, that stuff we can take out of the Venn diagram, put it in another circle, and then that will make this case acceptable again because we haven't included immune conduct in the case. So they say, and if so, whether there's any error in admitting official acts evidence was harmless. So they're going to say that even if we put immune material in there, immune evidence, immune testimony, Hope Hicks, anybody else, the judge could also find it's harmless. So it doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. Didn't matter. It didn't prejudice Trump in some way. Now, and the court didn't say that, okay? The Supreme Court didn't come out and say, well, you can include it unless it's harmless. Like, that's not even in the Supreme Court decision at all. Now, as the people noted, the prosecutors are saying, as we noted in our opposition to Trump's immunity motion, they say the evidence that he claims is affected by SCOTUS is only a sliver of the mountains of testimony. You know your argument is failing when this is how you have to make it, your argument. It's like when you got in trouble with your mom, it's like, well, did you do it or not? Well, I only kind of did it. No. Did you do it or not? Like, yes or no? Well, only a sliver of it was, okay, maybe a problem. And the documentary proof that the jury considered, they had whole mountains of other evidence. And so we don't actually need to even consider these rules. Well, it's funny because the Supreme Court didn't say, well, it's okay if it's only a sliver. Then we'll accept it. It's not Judge Kagan saying, okay, only a sliver. No, that's not how that works. So it's total coat mode. This is pathetic. They probably feel pretty pathetic writing this, honestly. Matthew Colangelo, he's not a dumb guy. He's obviously orchestrated a bunch of different prosecutions. He's a corrupt guy and I would say an unethical person, but he is the individual who is failing so badly right now. I mean, you also got to just be totally embarrassed because your case is falling apart. Like, this was the last one. You're hanging everything on this. And he's having to sit here and just kind of make these sliver of mountain arguments. Wow. So we continue on. The Supreme Court's recent decision did not consider whether a trial court's ruling on the distinct evidentiary question is immediately appealable. Why wouldn't it be? And there are strong reasons why it should not be. Okay. Nonetheless, given Trump's newly stated position, which was an obvious follow-up to any denial of immunity, clearly, it's not like I had no idea that they were going to run another play after that play. Well, have you ever watched this game before? We defer to the court on whether, again, pathetic, we defer to the court on whether an adjournment is warranted to allow for the orderly appellate litigation of that question and to reduce the risk of a disruptive stay from an appellate court pending consideration of the question. And assuming that Trump seeks an interim stay of the sentencing immediately after the court's September 16th ruling. So remember, we got those 2 dates coming up. So 9/16 will be it's like a status conference, right? They're going to come back and, well, what are we going to do about immunity? Then they came back on 9/18 and there were prognostications that for the sentencing date, that this would be when, right, Trump, if he sentences him to prison, he goes into custody that day. And generally speaking, if you're not the president, if you're not in the middle of an election, generally speaking, you're, everyday civilian citizen, you're sentenced to prison, you're going. So the status conference will be here. Let's say the judge comes out, right, and says, well, no, you're not immune. There's harmless error. I am as corrupt as everybody speculates, and I'm just going to totally ignore the Supreme Court or whatever happens. Then Trump would appeal that. So this would be up, stopped. Now it's blocked. You go up to the next level court. This is stayed, okay, just by virtue of the operation of the law. And so the prosecutor was basically acknowledging that. He's like, look, this is going to happen, whether we want it or not. I know this is the rule. This is basically what happened with Chutkins. Now, they tried to be pretty clever about this, scheduling these two things back to back. Trump obviously asked for an adjournment of this date. Just get rid of it because we're going to appeal it, obviously. Now, the people respectfully note that the appellate court, considering such a request, will understand that without an interim stay, it would have to receive briefing and decide certain issues of the first impression in one day, right? So now you're only going to give them the 17th to make a decision on this. So they're like, all right, we were trying to be cute, but we're kind of, limiting ourselves here. The people are prepared to appear for sentencing on any future date as the court sets. Now, the people, says the Bragg prosecutors, are also mindful that significant public safety and logistical steps by multiple agencies are necessary to prepare for court appearances in this matter. Oh, yeah, okay. So they just don't want to overburden the staff now. That's really nice of them to be so considerate of the staff. Why'd they waste everybody's time for this whole case? The defendant's newly stated position concerning an immediate appeal, like, what do you think he was going to do? Don't act so surprised. May mean that significant preparatory steps are taken only to have such steps disturbed by appellate litigation. So in other words, Trump will appeal it. It'll go right up here immediately. The appellate court will put a stay on the sentencing. Meanwhile, everybody's prepared to come in on the 19th. I'm like, oh man, we don't have to come in. No, it got moved. Oh, so none of the defendant's remaining arguments merit any consideration. We're not going to talk about them. First, although couched as a scheduling request, Trump re-raises for the fourth time a recusal grievance based on false claims. And this was great. Trump did do that, and it was really funny because he says, Judge, Judge, if you just get rid of the sentencing and allow us to come back here and actually have a fair case, we won't even worry about recusal anymore. So they kind of threw that in there as a jab. It's like, we know we keep hitting you with this. Like, you should recuse because you donated to Joe Biden. Should have recused because your daughter worked for Joe Biden. Now you should have recused because your daughter worked for Kamala Harris. Judge also made nasty statements about Trump to his daughter. She talked about that on a podcast. Like, the list goes on and on. So we'll stop telling you to leave if you just do the right thing on this case, right? And just move this sentencing based on false claims of a potential conflict that have already been rejected over and over by this court. He's like, Your Honor, you're amazing. You're so good. I'm sorry they're attacking you. The First Department and the Advisory Committee. Now, Trump's ostensibly new argument about the court's family members' co-workers' tweets is bizarre. And that dude did post a bunch of tweets. What's so bizarre about that? And nothing to do with the post-trial schedule. Well, Trump's concern about a public sentencing submission from the people is also misplaced. So the loser government is going to submit their pre-sentence memo, and I don't know if this is standard, where it would be sealed in New York. I don't know if that's standard in New York. The only way the memo would become public is if the court orders otherwise or the defendant unlawfully discloses it. Now, finally, defendant's apparent insinuation, Trump's insinuation, that state prosecutors are incapable of applying federal constitutional law is fundamentally flawed, given that the people, the prosecutors, and this court protect and apply federal constitutional rights every day. Protect, yeah, typo on that one. You guys screwed that up. Do you mean wreck? Wreck, probably? Correct that. F minus for that error. Unforgivable. Based on the foregoing, the people respectfully defer to the court on the appropriate post-trial schedule. Okay, he can't come out and say, I agree with Trump. I agree with the defense that this should be stayed or adjourned because our case is crap. and we tried to rig it from the very beginning, and we lost. We ran out of time because we tried to hurry, but we couldn't get it done before SCOTUS came back down. So they have to say we respectfully defer. Now, what does this mean? Okay, now we have, it's like the judge is supposed to be neutral. Okay, supposedly that is his posture. And he shouldn't have a position on whether this sentencing goes forward or not on this date in particular. What's his urgency? Is it like from a judge's perspective? Is it judicial economy? Is his schedule so busy the following months? Can he not postpone this until after the election? What's his justification? Safety of everybody? No, you've got gag orders in place. Nobody's going to die any minute. So relax. Why don't you just postpone this? What's the urgency? What's the hurry? Now, the hurry ultimately here has been provided by the government, Matthew Colangelo and Alvin Bragg, racing this case to trial because they need Trump to be a convicted felon. I know they keep throwing that word around very loosely, but Trump, as we are seeing, is voting, right? He's not actually showing up on criminal records as a convicted felon, right? We're not seeing that anywhere because he's not a convicted felon for all intents and purposes. And what they're trying to do, what they try to do is get that done. But now they're going to defer. It's pathetic. They're losing. They know they're losing. Matthew Colangelo is just one total pathetic loser failure. And that's my technical opinion, so it's not name calling. But here is what MSNBC is saying about this. They posted about this after it happened. Let's see if they're upset.
From New York, where the Manhattan District Attorney's Office is responding to Donald Trump's efforts to delay sentencing in his New York hush money case, which right now is set for the 18th of September. MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin is with us. Lisa, good morning. What did the Manhattan DA's office have to say?
Well, Jose, the Manhattan DA's office had to say a lot on one hand and not much of anything on the other. First, they're telling Judge Merchan that essentially they'll defer to whatever he wants. Pathetic. But then they flag a number of issues on both sides with respect to Trump's request to delay the sentencing. On one hand, they take umbrage at a number of points that Trump raises in his letter that appear to take potshots at the DA. But substantively, they are acknowledging that the Supreme Court's decision doesn't have a lot to say about whether evidentiary rulings about immunity are immediately appealable. And given that, the sentencing is scheduled for just 2 days after Judge Merchan is scheduled to decide whether to set aside the verdict on the basis of those evidentiary rulings, they say Trump could go to an appellate court and upend preparations for the sentencing, which are likely to be costly and complicated. And given that, they're throwing it back to Judge Merchan and saying, whatever you decide, Judge, we'll be ready.
Pathetic. Cowards, man. They were racing to save American democracy, man. They needed to get Trump convicted so quickly or else we were all going to die before the election. Trump stole 2016, they claim. Now he's going to steal 2024. Oh, no. And then they just defer. Oh, man, so spineless. Stand by your decision. Bragg, Colangelo. You guys get it all the way to the finish line. Man, the left must be very upset about this. Trump's going to get away with it again. Oh, they're going to have a meltdown. Oh, it's going to be so fun to watch. We're going to be here continuing to cover it. Thank you for subscribing as we do. So let's continue on. Now, we're taking a look. Before we jump into this DNC disaster, you can see the protests over there are getting a little bit, it looks like, spicy over here. You see we got some protesters, some dudes up there armed up, getting ready to go. Joe Biden is getting ready to speak. We got some clips of him, as you can see, coming up. And so we're going to get to some good stuff. But before we hear from our demented president, let's take a look at what the GOP has. A massive 300-page report shows the details of the Biden corruption and the Biden crime family. This is their impeachment inquiry, and it's a monster report. We'll take a look at some of the highlights here. You can see it came out August 19, 2024, and it's a big boy. And inside of it are the details. 291 pages. This is the executive summary. Joe Biden involved in epic levels of corruption over decades. They tell us the Constitution of the United States entrusts the House of Representatives with the sole power of impeachment. That's what we're here to do, if we need to. But first and foremost, we've prepared this report to share with you the evidence we've gathered to date. And what we found is this. There's overwhelming evidence that Biden participated in a conspiracy to monetize his office. They received tens of millions of dollars to provide access and influence with Biden. Joe actively participated in this conspiracy. He did a bunch of stuff, attended dinners, went to speaker phones call sessions. He attended a dinner with Hunter and Yelena Baturina, a Russian oligarch. Russia? Following the dinner, Baturina wired $3.5 million to one of Hunter's businesses. Then months later, they got more money from her. Then Joe Biden, as vice president, got on a phone call with Baturina, hopped on the phone and said, "You be good to my boy, Yelena." Saying, moreover, President Biden knowingly participated in this conspiracy. And based on the totality of evidence, Biden did this, we see, to enrich his family by abusing the office of public trust. They tell us that the evidence also establishes that Biden and his family went to great lengths to conceal this. They put the family through complicated financial transactions. They broke up the money into laundered funds and smaller transactions. Tons of efforts were made to hide the funds. And it shows that they leveraged Biden's position as power to garner favor. They give us some details. In 2014, Hunter wanted to start a joint venture with Chinese businessman Henry Zhao. They started this organization called Harvest Fund Management, a $300 billion Chinese financial services company closely related to the CCP. Yeah, didn't hear the media banging on that one. Similarly, while Hunter Biden served on the board of a Ukrainian energy company called Burisma, he utilized his father's position to make a bunch of money. Then Joe Biden changed U.S. policy to keep $1 billion from Ukraine until they stopped or did what Hunter needed them to do. Biden's participation in this conspiracy constitutes impeachable conduct. They monetized the vice presidency, he abused his office, and he put the welfare of his family ahead of us, the people of the United States. Now, this is putting foreign interests ahead of us, the American people. Indeed, precedents set by House Democrats back in 2019 when it comes to the impeachment of Trump shows that this is an impeachable offense. Now, the committee has separately gathered evidence that Biden also used his position to conceal his mishandling of classified docs. Which is just unbelievable. During his tenure as vice president, Joe Biden removed highly sensitive classified documents from the White House. He had no authority to do that. Trump did. Documents with classified markings were found at Penn Biden Center, his residence in his garage, University of Delaware, 3 locations not rated. No one took pictures of Jill's underwear. The report of special counsel Robert Hur detailed how Biden willfully retained classified material, shared it with a ghostwriter who was unauthorized to receive it, utilized classified info to draft a memoir. He got $8 million for that. Then they showed how the president used the White House employees to conceal his conduct and to mislead the American people about all this. Now, the committees have also obtained significant evidence that corroborates many of the allegations made by IRS whistleblowers with respect to the DOJ's deviations. Remember, when the election was right around the corner, they were investigating Hunter, and they covered it all up. In fact, before they were going to raid one of his garages, storage facilities, the DOJ called his attorney and warned them to empty it, and they did. The Justice Department allowed the statute of limitations to run on 2 charges that were serious facing Hunter. Not seeing any FARA charges, see those? The DOJ also prevented line attorneys from conducting key interviews and pursuing important lines of inquiry. The Justice Department also tipped off, here it is, Hunter's attorney about non-public actions and implemented unnecessary hurdles and approvals for prosecutors to charge Hunter. Weren't even using his name in certain documents. The special treatment for Hunter, which only ceased at the onset of congressional attention, may be a basis for impeachment. It was a distortion of an official investigation just like they got Nixon for. Now, additionally, the House need not show that Biden ordered his subordinates to obstruct this. He may be impeached for actions of his subordinates. Now, during the course of this inquiry, they have failed to fully cooperate with us. They've instructed certain key fact witnesses not answer questions, disregard our subpoenas. The Biden-Harris White House has obfuscated facts and denied the committee's access to witnesses. Biden also met with Hunter before Hunter's defiance of his subpoenas. The White House acknowledged that he was aware of Hunter's actions too. Oh, you got a subpoena? I still want to meet with you so we can get our story straight. Here too, precedent from the Democrats' prior impeachment was instructive. They said this: as a matter of constitutional law, the House may properly conclude that a president's obstruction is relevant to assessing the evidentiary record in an impeachment inquiry, saying this about Trump. And where the president illegally seeks to obstruct, the House is free to infer that it's harmful to the president's position. So if you don't give us the documents, we can use that against you, says the House, when Trump was doing it. Now, applying the precedent here, the House is free to conclude that the witnesses and information currently withheld from the committees are adverse to the president. Now, the totality of the corrupt conduct that's uncovered by this committee is egregious. Joe Biden conspired to commit influence peddling and grift, and in doing so, he abused his office repeatedly. Then he lied about it. Then he defrauded the United States to enrich himself and his family. Not one of these transactions would have occurred but for Joe Biden's official position in the government. He is the center. This pattern of conduct ensured his family, who provided no legitimate service, lived a lavish lifestyle. The evidence uncovered in the committee's impeachment inquiry reflects a family selling the Biden brand and the big guy, with Joe swooping in to seal the deals on speakerphone meetings and on private dinners. It shows a concerted effort to conceal Biden's involvement because they would say it, forget it, write it, regret it. That's their little phrase, Biden family motto. They continue saying, Biden acquiesced to and participated in this scheme. Those schemes generated millions of dollars, and they wouldn't have been able to do it if Joe didn't show up. He did it intentionally. He did it repeatedly. He did it with knowledge that his actions sent the message that his family members wanted. They could get him to show up. They could get him to do it. Given considerable member interest in the status of this inquiry and to correct false and misleading ideas, we are now creating this report. And whistleblowers continue to provide information about this. Now, the Constitution's remedy for a president's flagrant abuse of the office is clear: impeachment and removal by the Senate. Despite the cheapening of the impeachment power by the Democrats in recent years, they tried it twice because they were so desperate with Trump. The House decision to pursue articles must not be made lightly. And as such, this report endeavors to present the evidence gathered to date so that members of the House may do so when determining what Joe Biden did. So let's hit the bullet points and we'll see what they conclude. Do they recommend an impeachment? Let's see. Here are the findings. Now, from 2014 to the present, as part of a conspiracy to monetize Joe Biden's office and to enrich the Biden family, they got over $27 million. Woo, man, that's a lot. In order to obscure the source of these funds, they set up shell companies. They used proceeds to provide hundreds of thousands to Joe, thousands directly traceable to China. And Jim Biden claimed he gave his money to Joe to repay personal loans. There's no evidence of any personal loans. The Biden family's receipt of millions of dollars required Joe Biden knowing about all this, and it all happened while he was VP. Now, Biden also used his status as vice president to garner favorable outcomes for his son and his business partners. He acknowledged that Hunter was involved with business dealings with Russia, Romania, China, Kazakhstan, Ukrainian companies and individuals. And Joe actually met or spoke with nearly every one of them, including people from Ukraine, China, Russia, Kazakhstan. All of them were foreign people. Biden and his family got millions of dollars. Now, the Biden family also leveraged Joe's position in a public trust. They got over $8 million in loans from Democratic benefactors. Millions of dollars in those loans have not been repaid. They just say, oh, we're just going to loan you like $8 million. Do I have to pay you back? No. But that way we don't get busted. Many of these loans and the paperwork doesn't even exist, right? And then the IRS is like, if the DOJ is not investigating Hunter, they don't even open Biden's file, obviously. Biden what? You're not even, don't even open it. This raises serious questions about whether these funds were provided as gifts or actually whether they were disguised, in more likelihood, as loans. Now, under the Biden administration, the DOJ and the FBI afforded special treatment to Biden's son, Hunter Biden. Several witnesses acknowledge the delicate approach used by Hunter. They described the investigation as sensitive or as significant. Evidence shows that they slow-walked the investigation. They informed the defense attorneys of future actions. Hey, we're going to come and raid your storage facility. You want to do anything about it? Sure do. When? prevented line investigators from taking other investigative steps, and they allowed the statute of limitations, which is like first grade 101 prosecutors. Calendar the statute of limitations. Don't let those expire. The most serious felony charges, expired. Now, these tactics were all convenient. They all benefited Hunter. The DOJ also misled Congress about the independence of these law enforcement entities. Administration and political appointees exercised oversight and control. David Weiss, who oversaw this investigation, created a ridiculous agreement. He had to seek agreement from other U.S. attorneys to go prosecute the case. He wasn't really even a special counsel. And he needed approval from Biden's own DOJ to bring charges. So he wasn't a special counsel at all. And he was a guy who was very closely, he was from Delaware, apparently was all plugged in there with all the individuals in the Delaware government. Despite this clear conflict, Weiss was only afforded special counsel status after Congress started poking around. Now, the White House has also obstructed our committee. They've withheld documents. They've withheld witnesses. They've impeded our investigation. They're refusing to make relevant witnesses available for interviews. They're asserting executive privilege over audio recordings over special counsel Hur, and they're preventing the National Archives from turning over documents that are material to the committee's inquiry. And it just reads like a big, giant freaking complaint, doesn't it? You're like, well, okay, where's the Republican Liz Cheney, who's going to form and formulate some fake committee that doesn't even comport with the rules, nobody cares about, and then subpoena everybody and then arrest them if they don't show up. We'll see if that ever happens. Now, this report is massive, okay? It's 291 pages in totality. There is a ton of detail inside. Let me just hit some of these highlights. They've got records of all the money. So Burisma to Rosemont Seneca. When you're making $1 million a year, this is what it looks like when it gets deposited into your bank account. Okay, I don't know this from any personal experience, but this is Hunter, okay, who's looking at that, right? Hunter Biden looking at that 83 grand a month, just going right into his bank account for doing nothing because his dad is the vice president, and Democrats defended him for a long time. Oh, he's like, what happened here? It's like a transaction fee. But you can see, right, crazy amounts of money, all just being funneled into him for not doing anything other than really being a crackhead. And there's just a ton. The report is monstrous. You can see tons of details, emails from Eric Sherwin, copying Rob Walker from James Gilliar, Hunter's business engagements. I mean, the list goes on and on. Here's from this guy, Vadim Pozerski. Dear Hunter, thank you for inviting me to DC and giving me an opportunity to meet your father and spend some time together. It's really an honor and a pleasure. As we spoke yesterday evening, would be great to meet today for a quick coffee. What do you think? I could come by your office around noon on my way to the airport. Signed, your friend, Ukraine. Soon after, Obama designated Vice President Biden as his point man on anti-corruption in Ukraine, Hunter was appointed to Burisma's board of directors. Isn't that amazing? You're going to be the anti-corruption czar, and Hunter goes on the board of one of the most corrupt arrangements we've ever seen. Democrats are amazing like that. Then they appointed Kamala for the border. We see how that turned out. So a ton of details here. Now let's fast forward through it all. A couple more highlights, a couple more exchanges. You can see here's an email from R. Hunter Biden, his letterhead, to Director Zhang from Hunter. He says, hey, dear Zhang, I hope this letter finds you well. We anticipate working together on a number of projects. I believe that we have presented a collection of projects. As we await your visit to the U.S., you can work with my friend James Gilliar. And the investigation has been very thorough. Obviously, the corruption is deep. Joe Biden also is not obviously going to be the presidential nominee. This is Jim Biden having conversations. James Gilliar says, spent more time with Joe and Jim this morning. Like them, Hunter missed it. I wonder why. Probably cracked out somewhere. He also saw them last night, including Hunter. Let's talk tomorrow. All right, so the report is very, very big. Let's fast forward to the conclusion and see what they say, see what the Republican House is recommending in this final report as we get down to the bottom. And you can see there are some concluding remarks as we get down to the final end of this monster report. They tell us Joe Biden has exhibited conduct that constitutes abuse of power, foreign entanglements, corruption, obstruction of investigations. The committees have revealed that the Biden family, with the full knowledge and cooperation of Joe, is engaged in a global influencing racket. They've made millions. Vast, Russia, China, many others. Joe was involved. They sought his involvement. They used code names. They used shell companies. They used third parties. They tried to obfuscate all this. James Biden called it plausible deniability. Derp, they got it. As committees, and the whole Democratic Party covered up for it. It's wild. As the committee, whistleblowers and witnesses and a few brave media outlets that pursued these leads, many have sought to bury the president's involvement. DOJ was involved. White House changed its story. Biden has not been able to maintain a consistent narrative about his role. The goalposts have changed many times. Joe Biden didn't even know Hunter. Well, he's his son. Oh, well, he did know him, but he didn't know about his business deals. Well, he was on the phone with them. Well, they were only talking about the weather. Well, in this one, they say you were talking about the business. Well, they were only talking about the business, but they never actually did business. Oh, I see. Keeps moving. Now, to date, the testimony and the documents received show Biden knew about, participated in, and benefited from this. While Biden to date has avoided accountability, the committees are dedicated to ensuring that this influence is not for sale. Biden has abused his office. He's put his family's financial interests above the American people. And although our fact-finding is ongoing, the evidence uncovered here today amounts to impeachable conduct. The committee presents this information to the House of Representatives for its evaluation and consideration of the appropriate next steps, which obviously should be impeachment. I mean, if this is true. Now, I think there's two tracks to think about here. Obviously, impeachment for massive corruption would be the right thing to do for a government that we wanted to function appropriately and act with integrity and all of those things. So that might be the right thing to do. That would obviously put Kamala in place, which makes her the first president. And they take that, so politically there's a different line of thinking to all of this. Do you want Joe to stay through the end? Do you not want him to stay? Should he be impeached? Should the Republicans waste their time on him when he's a lame duck president? Should this go further at all? Or we should just, should the Republican Party and basically people who don't want to become communists just focus our attention on Kamala? In other words, is the public interested in this as it ties to Joe? Are they interested in this as just a symptom of a much broader problem within the Democratic Party? And this is exposing that and connects all of this to the Democratic Party. So it's like an anchor, like an albatross around the neck. We'll see what the rest of the House does. I speculate that they'll just let Joe be Joe. They'll just kind of burn him out, not waste the political capital on impeachment at this moment because he's a lame duck. And he also looks terrible because he's not all there. And we have that in a clip form. So let's talk about that. Yeah, this is rough. Biden's at the DNC, not looking so hot. He's about to get thrown out into the pasture. Final goodbye there, Joe. Dragging him out. Nobody's even paying attention, okay? It's the first night of the DNC. Everybody's just landing. Most people are hitting the bar, getting drunk, figuring out what their pronouns are for the event. All sorts of weird things are happening there. It's the DNC after all. And Joe is there. Here's what he looks like.
He's about to walk up to the lectern as well. And I will say, Aaron, what we've been hearing from the White House is that he's been fine-tuning this speech all weekend. Obviously,
sure.
He had a pretty good idea of what it was going to look like a month ago. Now that speech has changed and is going to be focused. He's about to...
All right, so that's Joe. He's kind of just poking around over there. Somebody asked him about Trump, and Trump is making fun of him for being thrown out in a coup that obviously happened because he didn't want to go until the last minute. He's staying in here. He's staying in. Then Nancy Pelosi came in, and she's like, well, we're going to tell them about your thing with that thing. And he's like, what? He's like, I don't remember much, but I remember that. He's like, yeah. Pelosi's like, yeah, it's coming. It's like, okay, I guess I'll leave. So he got asked about that today.
Donald Trump claims that you were pushed out, put from the top of the ticket, and this amounts to a coup from your party. What do you make of those claims? His what?
What's your message to people who are waiting for you to pass?
His stability is still questionable. What? Says Caitlin. The hell did you say?
Or taking it as a story.
His civility, his stability, his senility. The hell did he say?
Moment. How are you feeling? How are the hostage talks going?
Donald Trump.
All right, so that's Joe there at the DNC. And there's a bunch of other people who are out there, including this guy, Cornel West and Jill Stein. This came over from BG on the Scene. He's over on X. And here is what a little bit of this looks like. Things are getting spicy out there. We have some third-party candidates who are maybe taking some eyeballs off of the Democrats. All of these signs saying, abandon Harris. She's the worst.
I'm here because I have an unstoppable love for my precious Palestinian brothers and sisters. And when you love people, you hate the fact that they're being treated unjustly and unfairly. So when it comes to genocide, when it comes to ethnic cleansing, when it comes to apartheid, that's true anywhere in the world, any color, any gender, any sexual orientation, any nation. But we're talking about our precious Palestinian brothers and sisters and siblings in Gaza and the West Bank. I come from a black people who've been hated and terrorized and traumatized for 400 years, and yet taught the world
Still
so
going
much
on right
about
now?
love and freedom and wounded healing.
Okay, I don't really know what anybody here is even saying or what positions they stand for or what their solutions are. I really have no idea, okay? I don't think anybody does. I don't think they know, honestly. Like every single side of this, it's so confusing, and so everybody wants this, and Netanyahu's going to do this, and Joe Biden's going to. Nobody really knows. And, I'm an American person, and I care about America, and I care about people having an opportunity to speak freely, and so we're going to be here supporting everybody's free speech rights to say whatever the hell they want, to be as confused as they want, to share their opinions, whatever. As long as they do it peacefully and patriotically. We especially want it to happen at the DNC because there was no democracy in the Democratic primary at all. They just threw Kamala Harris right in front and nobody got to vote for her. So they need to make their voices heard, and we hope they show up and tell us who they are. In fact, some of them are showing up and telling us who they are. We saw these pill ladies who we talked about this morning on our members only stream on Locals. And we weren't really sure if these were outfits or if these are their regular outfits, if they, look like this normally, or if those are inflated, or if that's just kind of their body type. We don't really know because it is, after all, the DNC. But they're apparently pills walking around. They just love abortion, abortion pills, why they're there. Most important thing in their lives, I guess, economic prosperity, meaning, purpose. Families are certainly not part of that at all. But other things, I guess, anyways, so they're there. You can see it. We don't need to spend much more time on watching it. But that's what's happening. We also have other people showing up. So we've got a couple little compare and contrasts happening here. So here's one. Benny Johnson clipped this for us. This one came over from some Instagram account. And this is some of the people who are showing up. So I'll just let this one just play for a minute, just so we can get some visual, just some visual understanding of who's there, kind of what they look like, and their excitement and enthusiasm for Kamala Harris. All right. So they're there. Amazing, amazing. Democrats. Okay, so now also there showing up, Timcast News, Timcast, and he, of course, is there. His team, I think, he might even be there, but they're there. They've got a bunch of other footage. So as we can see here, we've got this organization called Free Palestine, which is wild. So this is a feminist and LGBTQ people for a free Palestine. See, man, I'm so confused. Like, this stuff is confusing. Are those compatible? I didn't think those were exactly compatible, but I guess they are compatible. This is why it's complicated. I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't think they know what's going on. It's a dynamic thing. Are those compatible? I don't think so. Like if you dropped off like Rosie O'Donnell in like Palestine, like was she going to do well or what? Like, I don't know. But anyways, so here's the scene. They're marching around. Okay. It's very confusing. Anyways, we support them. We support their peaceful protests. We support them. We're glad they're there. We want all of America to understand their plight and their fight. What's going on? Maybe we'll learn something. Maybe we'll learn something. It's very confusing to me. I'm just a white male Catholic. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's very confusing for me. It's weird. All right, so that's happening. And elsewhere, what else is this? Oh, we have some pro-Israel people who are also there. Okay, we can see this group is here. And is there a human shield that's underway? This came over, from Savannah Hernandez. Savannah Hernandez is there. She's amazing. And so make sure you're following some of her stuff. She does great work. And so she's there. You can see there are some pro-Israel people there, some pro-Palestine people. And we support all sides. All sides should be there speaking their minds. You know? Yeah. Okay, so that's also happening. All right, we're paying close attention. Let's see, what else? What other confusing situations are there? Oh, this was pretty confusing because here's an interesting chant. This one came over from the Post-Millennial. And they say that protesters at the march are calling her Killer Kamala. Woo! And they're calling him Genocide Joe. Whoa! Those are spicy monikers, man. Let's listen. Here, let's turn this up. Wow. Okay, so there's multiple things of audio here. So that was that one. Now, I was paying close attention here, and I think I saw, this is very quick, but guess what, guys? I saw one American flag. Just one, but I saw it. Where is it? Okay, see a bunch of Palestine and saw some Israel flag. There it is! One bro with an American flag back there. He's probably just tired of all this nonsense. What the hell are all these people? There it is. American flag bro. He's like, this is ridiculous. What country am I in? The hell country is this? There's that one guy back there. All right, at least he brought an American flag. All right, the rest of it is some other foreign countries that I have no idea about. All right, so it's great. It's great. Hey, we got one guy there who cares about America at the DNC. That's fun. So here's this guy. Somebody posted this. Actually, the Democrats posted this. This is a curious one. Says projected on Chicago's Trump Tower. They are now defiling a beautiful building that they could never build with their projections. And there's some great comments on this. They say, as Democrats gather for the Democratic National Convention, we want to remind folks of the difference between hairy walls and Trump Vance. And so they're projecting their garbage, right, onto somebody else's property. And yeah, some people saying this is vandalism. A lot of people are saying, this is very curious. Yeah, here's a good one. Here you go, from Bronco Nation. Typical from the left, okay? Always projecting a lie. Nothing new here from your party, which is exactly right. It's like, can you guys even come up with something like build your own building and project it on your own building? Why do you have to project your garbage over on our end? Now, you'll also notice that this entire campaign is just a copy paste, like literally. We make fun of the journalists here all the time. We call them copy paste journalists because that's all they do. They just copy and paste something. I mean, yeah, we read a lot of their articles and a lot of other things, but we also get the source material. Like at least we go to the sources and read the documents. Okay, the journalists don't even do that. They just copy someone else's article. And we have our opinions about the articles. They copy other people's opinions too. It's embarrassing. But anyways, that's their style. Same thing happened with Kamala and Joe. So Trump War Room got this one. They released Kamala and the Democratic Party's new platform, right? But it's not really Kamala's at all. It's just Biden's second term. So they posted this 19 times. So they released this whole platform, this whole plan, and you can see it's in a second term, Biden will do this. In a Biden second term, he's going to do something fundamental rights. In President Biden's second term, he's going to value our values as a nation, blah, blah, blah. Like they just took it from him and they just copy and pasted. Control F, and some moron didn't even do it right. He's like Controlled F President Biden, but he didn't do the apostrophe S. He should have Controlled F second term too. You know, Control F, find replace Biden for Kamala. But he didn't get the apostrophe S is probably what I'm thinking happened. And he definitely didn't search for second term. So they copy and pasted it. They released it. In his second term, Biden will do something with partners and he will continue in his second term. In his second term, okay. And the rest of it, they just copied for Kamala. Now, NBC was responding to this, and you can see they say, yeah, the party, Democrats released their party platform document on Sunday, but kind of a little bit strange. The party platform was written and voted on before Joe Biden dropped out of the race, and the document repeatedly highlights the president's achievements and positions, even when they differ from Kamala's comments. They don't care. It's just whatever. Just put out a document. Okay, our voters are so... Do you think they're going to read it? They're going to read it? But it doesn't match. Shut up. Stop with your... Just put it on. Just post it. Leave us alone. The platform refers to Biden's second term more than a dozen times, underscoring the unprecedented timing of the top of the ticket shakeup. The document was approved just days before Biden bowed out of the race. The election's a choice between two very different economic visions. But Harris said last week said, here's the difference. The economy chapter emphasizes many Democratic priorities that Biden and Harris have touted, including improving infrastructure, supporting unions, and pushing for a federal minimum wage of $15 an hour. The document also highlights Biden's proposal for a $10,000 tax credit. But Harris said last week she'll give $25,000 for first-time home buyers, more than twofold increase from their own document. So their policies don't even match their document. Platform also said $6,000 tax relief for babies, which is strange because I think, do they want babies really? It makes a strong statement about the historic work of Joe and Joe Biden. And so the document's a disaster, just like Kamala. They don't really have any real substance behind much of what they do. And people are starting to realize it. We saw this exchange over on CNN. This woman sat down and had a conversation with this Iowa voter, and he is telling the truth about how things were better under Trump.
That Sarcone plans to vote for Trump is a big change. She backed Haley in the caucuses, and when we first met a year ago,
what about Browning Carmel?
Sarcone said she would vote for Biden if 2024 ended up as a 2020 rematch. But grocery prices are still high, she says, and her real estate business is slow.
I would describe myself as being resigned, I suppose, to voting for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Again.
Okay, we'll take it. We're not real happy about the resignation, but you're warming up. Okay, that's how it works. It goes in stages. You'll be warming up because things are going to continue to trend our direction, I think, because the truth is the truth.
I can't vote for the status quo, and I was absolutely better off during Donald Trump's presidency than I am today.
Yes.
Right, I say Kamala Harris. You say?
I'd say far left. I'd say woke.
Good call. Yeah, shout out.
I'd say sidestepping. I'd say not truthful.
That Sarcone plans to vote.
Yeah, that's all true. That's all true. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Thanks for the interview. So here's some more. Now, one of the wild policy positions that came out last week was that she was going to put price controls in for all of us, which would take us to an economic environment reminiscent of a communist country, because that's who she is and who her father is. But Kyle Becker had this clip for us, and it came from David Brooks. Okay, David Brooks is no Trump fan, right? In fact, he's like a lefty. Now, he's sort of masquerades as a right type of person. In fact, I saw CNN did this earlier today. They said that conservative Republican judge Luttig endorses Kamala. I go, oh my gosh. He hasn't been a conservative judge forever, and he's been wrong about most of his legal analysis. Dead wrong. It was wrong about immunity, was dead wrong about ballot removal and insurrection. So why do they keep referencing him? Well, we know why. But David Brooks, okay, no fan of Trump. I think he might even be a never Trumper, is out here really condemning, ridiculing Kamala over her disastrous policy. Here's what that sounds like.
And David, on this matter of economic policy, the vice president is also proposing the first ever ban on price gouging for groceries. This is something I know you took particular issue with.
Wow.
It polls well with swing voters, but economists say the underlying reasons why prices are higher, it's a more complicated argument.
Yeah, I mean, she has some good policies in this package. I think the child tax credit is a good thing. She wants to deregulate housing so we can get more homes. But the price gouging is just, well, Catherine Rampell, the Washington Post columnist and NewsHour contributor, said it's impossible to exaggerate how bad this policy is. And I agree with that.
Whoa!
Catherine had a good line that if your opponent is calling you a communist, maybe don't lead with price controls. And so price controls just create shortages. They create black markets. We've seen it happen in Venezuela. We've seen it happen in the Soviet Union. Price controls just don't work. What's worse about that, first, it's trying to address a problem that does not exist. Grocery prices, inflation has been less than 1% for the past year.
Wow.
It's over. We had a surge, but it's over. The problem does not exist. But the real core problem
the problem doesn't exist. Have your grocery prices gone back down, or are they still going up? They're going up less quickly, but they're still going up.
Expresses a level of economic illiteracy which is kind of surprising in a responsible Democratic candidate. The idea behind greedflation is that we had all these years of low inflation under Obama and under Bush's, and I guess people weren't greedy then. And then Biden gets in, and suddenly, magically, they all get greedy and start price gouging.
Weird.
And they do it at Kroger's, at Harris Teeter, at H-E-B. Suddenly, there's this mass of price gouging, and she thinks she can prosecute it.
Well,
That's
they blame
not why
COVID.
Inflation surged.
Yeah.
Inflation surged because we had a pandemic, which screwed up supply chains and productivity. Then the Biden administration overstimulated the economy, too many dollars chasing too few goods. Obama administration officials Larry Summer and Jason Furman said at the time, this is going to cause inflation.
Yep.
Lo and behold, it did. The Fed has to clamp down on growth, raising everybody's interest payments. That's what caused inflation. That's solid basic economics. Her greedflation plan is somewhere off, outside of normal economics.
That's asking solid basic economics out of Kamala Harris and her team, not going to work out so well. And so Trump commented on this. Trump was responding to Tim Walz and his very interesting demeanor when he's out on the stage. You probably have seen this a couple times, maybe not. But here's what he does when he's out there. And there's been multiple versions of this repeatedly. And we talked about the Doritos scandal this morning on our members only stream, which was very curious. You know, he's just very overly enthusiastic. He does the Michael Scott thing. There was an episode from The Office where Michael Scott does that. No, you're amazing, all of you. You know, like, relax, dude. You just calm down, okay? Like, it's like an excited puppy. Like, you're supposed to be here. Just relax. Nobody's going to throw you back outside. Just calm down. So Trump was out talking about some of this and says, talk about weird, man. This guy's out of his mind.
Did you ever see him go on the stage and go like crazy? It's like between his movement and her laugh, there's a lot of craziness. I'd say a step further than weird. Weird is a nice word by comparison.
Yeah, it's true.
Did you ever?
Weird's nice, but crazy is the real definition. Now, all that being said, David Axelrod, who's a former Obama guy, big time Obama, who might actually, I think, be consulting now. I think I may have read that. Says that if the election were being held today, Donald Trump would win this puppy. And I think he's right about it. I think that there's a lot of fake AstroTurf enthusiasm out there all across the left. They have not had a candidate who had excited them in a long time. Then they got Kamala. It's like, wow, they're finally getting, a little excitement finally for the first time in a long time. It's like first girl talk to them. Like, oh my gosh, wow. Or the first, non-gendered individual talk to them. They're like, wow, this is so great. So nice to meet you both. They're very thrilled with themselves. So here he's coming out and saying the truth that once people get to know Kamala and all this fake enthusiasm starts to evaporate, people will realize the truth.
The multimedia marketplace. Progress. We were all in Milwaukee a month ago, and there was euphoria there in a sense that this race was over, that they were going to win by a landslide, perhaps sweep in big majorities in the House and
multimedia
Senate.
Marketplace.
how encouraged should Democrats be? Is there a danger of them actually being kind of too euphoric?
Yeah, I've been talking about this for some time. Look, she's made extraordinary
multimedia marketplace.
progress. We were all in.
All right, so there's some weird audio thing on there, but you get the point of what he's saying there. And it is, I think, true. I think that if you aggregate all the polls together, there is a very close race, very close connection between, I think, the two candidates right now. And every time that happens, Trump overly performs in the polls. And so I think that Axelrod is right. Now, we're keeping our eye on what's happening over at the DNC, and we're going to hit some of these highlights. We'll see what's going on as we see what you guys say about all this and take your comments and your thoughts on the day, on these news stories and more. But here's what's happening right now at the DNC. It looks like Maxine Waters is speaking. Oh my goodness, listen. Here is Maxine Waters.
Oh, so I know there is no better leader to marshal us into the future. Kamala has been a courtroom prosecutor, a district attorney, an attorney general, a United States senator.
All right. I'll turn it down. All right, so that's what's happening over there right now. And we're keeping our eye on if there's any, protests or anything happening afoot. Joe Biden is not going to be speaking, I think, for quite some time. And I think Hillary's speaking. Let's see what the schedule is. DNC schedule. See if here's the speaker schedule. Okay, let's see. All right, where are we at right now? We've got, I don't know if this is in a list or not. Kathy Hochul. They've got a bunch of people speaking, but there's no time, so I don't know what the times are. DNC convention lineup and speakers from NPR. Still no time. All right, anyway. So that's Maxine Waters, and we'll keep our eye on this convention. Let's see what you say about it, my friends. See what you say on the day. Maxine's making her way out of here. What's up? It's a beautiful Monday. It's Avocado Monday. Is that what this is? Avocado and Taco Monday? Oh, amazing. So thanks for that. That's from John McGarvey. And here is a very nice group of people who got gifted membos. CGI Joe bringing in Janine Shaner. We got That's Hot Air, Will H, Daniel Nordstrom, and we have WV Sniper, WV Sniper gifted a membo in the house. All right, let's see who these people are.
The NAACP, and I'm here to do my black job.
My black job? Is that a dig at?
Since the founding of our nation, we have been on an unending march to protect this imperfect union.
All right, so thank you for that, CGI Joe. Welcome aboard, new membos. You guys rock. Hey, it's the Munkets is in the house. We got some new membos coming in, courtesy of Tony. Hey, Munkets, what's up? Daisy Girl Williams is gifted a membo. Muffin Rando got one. What's up? Glenn Croy in the house. Kimberly's joining us, and Superwoman in the house, courtesy of Tony. Hey, Munkets. Hey, it's the Munkets. Thanks for bringing in new membos. What's up? Stop Sniffing Kids Joe is here. Stop Sniffing Kids Joe says, love your show, Rob. The salt is deep as hell. Yeah, there's a lot cooking out there. Are there any good outdoor feeds on what's happening outside? Anybody have any good feeds that are happening outdoors? I'm kind of looking around to see who's streaming, what's going on here. Midas Touch is over there. D-Day Cobra might be outside over there. No. Let's see. I'm clicking around live. What's live right now? NBC News is out there. Yeah, but it's all this. All right, Stop Sniffing Kids Joe. What's up? We got Sheila Pooh. What's up, Sheila Pooh? Thanks for bringing in 10 new membos. We got The Old Bag is out. The Old Bag is coming in. Welcome, The Old Bag. We got Pamela Flatter, Little Paws in the house. We got Felicia Kimbler. Michael Hunter came in. What's up, Bruce Douglas? Derelict in the house. Blue Crow. What's up, Noble Victory? Lori McDonald in the house. Welcome aboard, new membo friends. Hey, membos, grab this morning's members only stream. It was a beautiful one. We had a lot of fun this morning. talking about the walking mifepristones. What's up, Philip B? We have Philip B says the prosecutor is scapegoating the judge. Yeah, well, he doesn't want to make a hard decision, so he's just leaving it up to the judge to decide. It's pathetic. He should dig his heels in. If he thinks he's right, hey man, he thought he was right this entire time. He thought that they didn't need to debate immunity at all, and that they were right, and the judge agreed with them, and now they have to backpedal. So stand by your decision. Weak, but that's what they do. What's up? CF Rob says, shouldn't the fact that the state and government penetrated the attorney-client privilege be brought up before the Supreme Court? Having Cohen testify at all should be thrown out. Yeah, I don't know if there was a waiver there or how they got around that, but there was some testimony that I think was not. So first of all, there's a crime fraud exception. Okay, so like you can't work with your attorney to commit a fraud. There's an exception to the attorney-client privilege on that. So maybe that came into play. But they also weren't really talking about. I think that's what it was. Cohen was just saying that it was part of an ongoing fraud, so it wasn't protected. I think that's how they got around that one. I'm confusing that one, I think, with because they also breached Trump's attorney-client privilege in the J6 cases. D.C. Judge Beryl Howell, and was that also ongoing fraud? I don't know, but yeah, the whole case should be thrown out for many reasons. Rob, what's up? Knox is in the house. Says happy Monday, all. A hilarious pic is trending from the White House. Yeah, the U-Haul, apparently. There was a U-Haul there at the White House. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's like, is Joe Biden going to... We were all kind of hoping Joe Biden comes out and just says, all right, I got a lot of problems with everybody in here, starting with you, Nancy Pelosi, and just, digs in on the DNC. That'd be amazing if it happened, but not expecting it. Elf is in the house. What's up, Elf? Bringing in Scott Porter as a new member. Colette Dunning is here. Tina Sassy's here. What's up, Brian B? Anti-Metals in the house. Schechter, what's up? Elcar's Data Node. Chari's in the house. Anki and Ray Hedrick, gifted members, courtesy of Elf. Elf, thanks for bringing in 10 new, amazing, beautiful members. Sheila Poo, what's up? Says, okay, 27 million doesn't even begin to cover it. So much more they haven't found yet. Joe Biden should either be impeached or ousted via the 25th Amendment if he isn't competent to stand trial. Yeah, I mean, I think that's right as just a matter of principle. If they can't prosecute him, then what is he doing running the country? And there's a big incongruency there that has not been addressed. But it's just an inconvenient problem for them that they're just going to say, you'll just eat it. And I guess the American Democrats are. So, okay, Mark Morial, let's see what this is.
Barack Obama's presidency in 2008. His 1988 candidacy helped to reshape the Democratic National Committee.
Jesse Jackson? All right, so we got Bruce Rice. Rice, baby. Dun, 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 dun. What's up? Bruce Rice is bringing in 20 new members. What's up, Bruce? Thanks for doing this. Look at this. Super generous and amazing. We got G. Ussery coming in. Karen Vaughn, what's up? Chio Sanabria. Dan Mentink. We got Edward Baxa. A Job Done Well. Carol Myers, Kim Rod, what's up, Aaron? Charles Schwartz gifted a membo. Janine saying shout out. Blue Star got one. Bill Carson, we got Colin Boyer, Will Wallace, Michelle Bender, Loud Eddie, Barbara Joe, Wiz, Lydia, and Michael Jones gifted membos, courtesy of the one and only Bruce Rice, baby. Dun, 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 dun. What's up, Chubby Stubby? Says it's going to get very interesting. If impeachment is recommended, how do Democrats respond? Do they want to get him out and elevate Harris? If so, well, if they did, then wouldn't they do the 25th Amendment or ask him to resign? I mean, honestly, like he could just resign too. If so, will the Senate then actually vote to convict? No, that's the problem. Yeah, I guess, unless they are trying to get rid of Joe. Why would they rally around him and protect him from conviction? It would definitely be interesting. Yeah, I could see a narrative that would percolate, like the Democrats are actually okay with a Republican impeachment, but they fake like they're not interested. Like they actually want Joe gone for some reason. I still don't understand why they would want Joe gone. I think it's better for them politically if they have distance between Kamala and the presidency. Because then she can do this same fake, day one shtick that she's already doing. Which is not true, right? She's obviously been in the vice presidency for 3.5 years, coming up on 4. So if they if they actually shove her in that position, then people will show up in October and they'll say, well, why are things the way they are? You're the president now. And Joe also, I think, needs to keep his pardon power past the election at least, unless he's planning on pardoning them. He needs to see what happens. Because if Kamala wins, then maybe she can say, I'll continue to protect you. But if Kamala loses and Trump wins, Joe and his family, I would think theoretically, would expect some repercussions coming for all of their corruption. And I hope that there is lawful, legal repercussion for their crimes. Because no one's above the law. So Trump wins, and I would imagine Joe pardons everybody. He says he's not going to, but it would be the dumb thing for him to do. Why wouldn't he not do that? What's up? NY says, love how the Amazon Fire Stick greets me to so much DNC free content. Amazon didn't have the RNC on full banner ads. Oh, it is Jesse Jackson. They're bringing him out. So that's amazing. So Amazon is spamming it in your face, in your face. Here you go. In your face, in your face, in your face. Amazing. What's up? Cy Brias. What's up, brother? Member for 5 months says, I'm watching some Bigfoot episodes versus the DNC. On Netflix, like one of those nature shows, probably. Knox is here. Says, notice Trump Tower, Chicago. Big sign behind the gays for Palestine March. Was that the one that we just looked at? Did I not see that? The one with the American flag that we saw? Let's see. This one. Big sign behind Trump Tower. Legal abortion once and for all. Stop genocide. So many signs, man. It's just all over the place. Ceasefire, rainbow flags all over the place. We're still only on one. I mean, I still only saw one, I think, American flag in the whole thing. Tons of rainbows, tons of Palestine. But no, not really anything about America. Oh, man, that's a bummer. If only they loved our country, too. That'd be nice, but they don't. Oh, well. All right, let's see. What else is cooking? Thank you for that one, Knox. We had this one from Voice of the People. And here's what Voice has said. And let's get this back in location. Say, here, what's up? Voice is saying, have an open spot on Off-Label on Thursday. Anyone want to talk after Rob's show on Thursday? Cheryl Johnson is interested, Voice. What's up, Voice? Have a great stream, brother. Thanks for being here, being a membo, and supporting us. What's up, Ray Ray? Membo for 3 months. That's 1/3 of the way to a baby, and the first month's the hardest. Hey, Crash is here. Waiting for the sun to go down. Action starts after the dark. I'm not encouraging, but shenanigans surely get underway after the sundown. Yeah, it's a good point. That is a good point. And we don't want any violence at all or property destruction. Okay, we are the party of law and order. We are not interested in societies burning down to the ground. They are. Kamala Harris was the one responsible for bailing people out after they torched the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis. And Walz was cool with it. In fact, his wife was outside like, yes, I love the smell of burning small businesses in the morning. Have some eggs with that too. The smell of peasants on fire. She loved it. Hey, what's up? NY says, we don't. We condemn it totally. NY says, out here in Palm Springs, they are giving t-shirts to homeless to wear with hairy walls and the Dem running for Congress. It's a great look. Well, I mean, you know, whatever. All right. John Libby says, I'm sure that a wider investigation, they would find Obama is profiting off of this too. This is why they would not want their financial records looked into some. Michelle could not run. Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's a lot of that happening. I mean, but they do it all in plain sight. They do it all in plain sight. And they are, I think, remember like the Clintons, for example. The Clintons had the entire Clinton Foundation that was making hundreds of millions of dollars. Then as soon as she lost the presidency, all that grift money went down into the toilet. No more grift money once she can't do anything for us. Spuds is here, says, I find it interesting that the song Balls to the Wall by the German band Accept was partially written by former lead singer Udo Dirkschneider. Happens to be gay, not that that I guess matters, is what you're saying. Not a good look for Tim Walz if he's using that as a theme song. Sheila Pooh says, I, along with a huge portion of the country, went from being comfortable to living paycheck to paycheck. I don't just want Trump back. I need Trump back. You're not alone in that, Sheila. I think a lot of people are in that position. It's hard not to be when you have bills that, are like doubling. Grocery bills and more. It's been rough. The whole country's been realigned, reshaped. NY says, Maxine Waters, ask her how much cash she has in her freezer. Probably a lot, I'd guess. Big Wiggle says, I wonder which Joe Biden body double we'll get tonight. I think it's going to be number 135. Wait, that's a new one. Yeah, the tall one or the short one or the attached lobes or the unattached lobes or the cleft chin or the not cleft chin. It's hard to tell. Sheila Pooh, 1,000,000 hugs to you. Man, Sheila, thank you today. Bringing in so many membos. Check this out, man, my friends. We got 10 new membos. Dire Gnomes coming in. Texas Beast. Dan DeFlavis, Nunya Business coming in. Lynchpin is here. Randy Campbell, Cindy Jensen, Carl Kilding, S. Maynor, Maddie Adams, all coming in courtesy of Sheila Pooh. 1,000,000 hugs to you. Thank you, Sheila, for bringing in new membos. And new membos, grab that members only morning stream. We had a great stream this morning. Salty says, will Joe resign? It would give a bump in the polls, even though Kamala's polling is going down faster than Leo DiCaprio after the shimp went down. Yeah. Gosh, there's a lot of good analogies there. Well, it's kind of like they kind of did that to Joe Biden, right? It was like Nancy Pelosi was on the raft and Joe Biden was in the water. And then Nancy Pelosi, that was pretty brutal. She's like, peace out, man. There's plenty of room on that raft, by the way. Plenty of room. He could have absolutely gotten on there, but she's like, no, bye. I love you. Tragic love, romance. Get out of here. And he just falls into and he's like dead. They did that with Joe. Get out of here. No love. See you at the bottom of the Atlantic. What's up, Salty Sarge? Yeah, I don't think he'll resign. Paul Hoffman says, Killer Kamala, not the boxing title that she wants. No, it's not the good kind of, like you're a pit bull or something like that in a boxing match. No, it's for a different reason. Hey, Tony DeMarco says, I shared this once before. Of all the freaky Tim Walz clips, this is still the weirdest. The first 9 seconds are no sound. You won't be sorry. He's definitely a freak. All right, let's see what this one is. Where this came from. And, oh yeah, it's from... Oh, it's Kamala. Yeah, it's Kamala, right? That was Kamala, that one that you just linked us to. It looks like it was just a bunch of Kamala. This one came in from NY, says, too late for impeachment. It will drown out the clear fact that Harris has nothing to run on, from NY. Spud says, Rob, I find it ironic that they are carting out Jesse Jackson, but it was Trump who helped bankroll Jesse's bid for POTUS in both 84 and 88. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know much of the history there with Jesse Jackson. I just remember him coming out and, it was him and Al Sharpton a lot. Racism, all the things. Hey, Jason Jackson says, is there an August mind map link? No, there isn't. No, we haven't really been doing the mind map, so don't have that. But thanks, Jason, for the dono and for being here and asking about it. We got Knox's here, says, local folks in Chicago are posting on X. City put all the snow plows out to block the roads leading to the DNC without telling the residents. Yeah, we played a clip, I think it was from some guy this morning. Yeah, this morning. Who was upset about that. He's like, man, they just came out and they started blocking the roads down. This poor neighbor had no idea what the heck was going on. Chubby's here, says the parts of Harris's policies that guy agrees with just happen to be the parts that she's plagiarized from Trump. Looks, yeah. And there's going to be a lot more of that is what it sounds like. Joseph Roy in the house. What's up, Joseph Roy? Thanks for becoming a membo, becoming a supporter on the tubes. Very nice to have you. We got Senior Chief says, Don't jump to conclusions. The American flag bro with the one ensign is probably just preserving that flag to burn it after dark. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, you need at least one flag to burn. He's like, I got the flag we're going to burn. He's like, oh, good. What is that American flag doing here? They all say to him, we're going to burn it. Don't kill me. We're going to burn it later. All right? Just roll. Okay. Good. It's our burning flag. Good. See you later. Hey, yeah, and says, don't get too happy about the American flag, bro. Thank you, Senior Chief. Yeah, funny. He's probably just preserving it for after dark. Yeah, that's pretty funny. All right, so that is, my friends, thank you so much for those amazing donos, for sending those in. Very grateful for those. Let's see what else is cooking over there outside the DNC, because we have a little bit of some different angles here from NBC. Here is outside. So let's turn this volume up and turn this volume down and see what this looks like.
Quickly, already clearing this park out, which was incredible to watch.
Yeah, Maggie, I wanted to ask you about that. I don't see a single protester behind you.
Wow.
Where'd they go?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Cleared them out.
They went
like a ghost
every
town.
which direction they could. I mean, we watched police move in from multiple directions.
Cleared them out.
Basically, three sides of the park were kind of pushed back. We'll kind of swing around this way if we can and show you, like, this is the park that we were in earlier today. It's completely clear. We have signs on the ground. People left this
They're not
fast
playing
that they
around,
just
man.
left their signage here and kind of scattered in every which direction. Some of them, it seems like, went back to the park north of here where this initially started. Some of them kind of went back toward the east side of the city. Basically every which way they could, Tom. Police moved in very quickly, and after those 4 arrests happened, people were pretty quick to get out of here.
Is it your understanding that that's it for the night? Are they regrouping
So much for their free speech.
and coming back later as President Biden is set to take the stage in prime time, or is that it?
As far as the organized march goes, it was only this one and done event, and they knew that they were doing that hours before President Biden was set to speak. So as far as the size that we saw earlier and kind of the organized marching efforts, I would be really surprised if they came back out today. They plan to be back at their starting point about a half mile from here by 4. Then things kind of got out of control here. We could, of course, see some factions break off and sort of protest throughout the city tonight, and we'll be watching for that, of course. But it seems to be largely a one and done with that caveat in mind.
Wow.
All right, Maggie Vespa going to be covering the protest for us all week. Maggie, we appreciate that. Back to the convention floor now. As we've mentioned, in just a few hours, we'll hear from President Biden in what is expected to be a bittersweet moment for the Democratic Party. Biden now officially passing the torch to Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yeah, after they cooed him out of there. All right, so you can see that's what it's like out there. Man, they mopped them all up. They just went and cleaned up the entire scene. You're not going to be protesting here, okay? Do you realize you're not going to derail our DNC convention? Okay, we have to win this thing. The last thing that they need is a bad PR component to the Kamala Coronation. So, my friends, it's been a beautiful stream. Let's say hello to our friends on X before we wrap it up and head on over to Locals to debrief on the show and on the day. And, of course, if you're a membo, make sure you grab the stream from this morning if you're looking for some additional stuff to watch. We had a good members-only stream bright and early this morning. Oh, hey, here's this one is obviously, you know, an AI photo, just to be clear. But it is a beautiful photo. Trump and Taylor Swift dancing around. Isn't that beautiful? What's up, Palmino? Good to see you. And, oh, here, this one's real, though. Definitely real. Trump showed up at the DNC convention. Man, he's looking good, dude. He's looking swolled up. Man, he's like in bulk mode, you know? What's up? Good to see you, B. Torn, over there. A couple good comments from B. Torn. What's up, Roxy? We got JEC, TJ King, David Miller's in the house. Ruthless says, I cannot wait for Bragg to lose his law license. He's a total disgrace. That's true. He's not going to. It's New York. They love him. They'll give him a promotion. Probably make him governor over there. It's just wild. Hey, what's up? This old guy says, I noticed in the background while Rob was talking that the credentials rule and committee rules committee both had speakers at the DNC. Interesting because neither of those committees have had anything to do since the Kamala coup. I see what you're saying. That's interesting. Well, we don't really know who's in charge, or I think there's a changing of the guards. There's Biden's people are still in charge. There's a fight with Kamala's people who want to be in charge. Obama's people want to be in charge, and so on. And so, good stuff, my friends. Okay, so we're going to leave it there. It's been a beautiful stream. It's going to be DNC Madness tonight. We're going to come back tomorrow. Membos, we'll see you in the morning for our morning stream. Otherwise, my friends, it's been a beautiful night here tonight with you. I hope that you have some incredible rest. We are going to come back here tomorrow. Same time, same place to get into it again. And in order to do that appropriately, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.